Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the City of Bloomington to order, and if everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Kearns. I'm here. Councilmember Boland. Councilmember Martin. Here. Councilmember Dannenberger.
Here.
Councilmember Becker.
Here.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Here.
Councilmember Crumpler.
Here.
Mayor Milwaukee.
Here. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We do have two people to speak. We've got first up Ryan Whitehouse, and then to follow Gary Lambert after you're done with your statement.
Thank you. Public comment is an opportunity for speakers to provide their views and feedback to the City Council. It is also an opportunity for the City Council to listen and hear diverse points of view. To maximize the impact of public comment and show respect for the expression of all views, speakers should maintain civility and focus on city issues. Speakers must identify themselves for the record, but are not required to give their address. Each speaker is given the floor for 3 minutes, and the council does not respond or engage in debate. Any speaker that engages in threatening or disorderly behavior will be deemed out of order and their time ceased. Go ahead.
Mayor, Councils, Ryan Whitehouse, resident of Bloomington. Know most of you, but I'm here with two colleagues, Adam Poole and Megan Fitzgerald. I'm here on behalf of St. Jude, and I have the pleasure of serving on the Midwest Board of ALSAC and also the committee chair of the Bloomington Normal Walk Run that happened on September 23rd in our community here at Illinois Wesleyan, and running through the town of Bloomington and the town Normal on the trail. Adam is the race director, and Megan's with staff. I'm here to really just say thank you to this council, to the city manager and the staff, to the police, to all the staff in the public works that helped us lay out this race course and provide an opportunity for over 400 people to help raise money for the kids of St. Jude. A special thank you to Officer Jared Roth that has gone above and beyond for us through things for this race, and then also the run in August when we run from Bloomington to Peoria. And thanks to the city for allowing, Adam and I are both runners on that, and we appreciate the Bloomington Police escort all the way from Bloomington, Peoria. I do not run all the way from Bloomington, Peoria, in segments of that way. But again, I just want to say thank you. It's a big thing for our community. It's something that's really passionate. We've grown that event to over 400 people. We had a goal of $240,000 for this event, and as of right now, we're $10 short of $298,000 for the kids of St. Jude. So we'll take a donation if anyone wants to give one. And so I just want to say thank you to the city, to the police, to Public Works, and to the citizens of our communities to allow us to do this. And I have to give thanks to the major sponsors in our town that did this: the Clemens Insurance, the Bloomington Normal Audiology, Drake Orthodontics, the Illinois Farm Bureau, Athlete, IBEW Local 197, Four Seasons, Martin's Home Furniture, Wood Davari, Armstrong Huska, Farmers Mutual, Alta, and a few others. So again, just thank you, and hopefully we will have continued success and support from this council going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
All right, next up we have Gary Lambert, and that's the last one. I also should mention that we received no email public comment.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gary Lambert. Got a couple of comments about items on the consent agenda. I'm beginning to wonder, does the city council work for the city manager? or does the city manager work for the council? Item K is renewing an existing procedure. It's been there for a couple of years. But what I see is the council abdicating their duties and responsibilities to the mayor and to the city manager. It's a dangerous trend to go down. That was item K, I believe. Item L has to do with doing away with credit card payments. That came up a few years ago, just all the money we could save if we did away with that. About the same time, there was discussion on what's the city going to do about unpaid parking tickets. Now, I just spoke to the gentleman over here, and he says we are finally making some plans to take some action on that. I see tonight item L, and I had to read through it multiple times to see what it was really saying, because the numbers get all combobulated between the residents and commercial activities. And he gives those savings, and I forget what it was, 600,000 or something. But that was all inclusive. Right now, citizens can pay their water bill with a credit card. And if I understand that correctly, you're going to do away with that. We don't know how much it's going to save. Some people rely on that credit card payment. I think you should take another look at it and at least split it out between the residents and the commercial activities. I'm running short on time. We take great pride in this city about being a welcoming city, and I know a lot of time has been spent on it. With the invasion of Israel over this weekend, and the genocide and activities that have taken on over there, I would like to see a resolution passed by this council supporting Israel and condemning those who have committed those atrocities. Thank you.
There's no further public comment.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the consent agenda, and I do know we have one item 7L that we'd like to be pulled by Council Member Monty. Is there anything else anybody else would like to have pulled? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to pass the consent agenda with the exception of item 7L?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Crumpler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Hendricks. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Kearns? Yes. Councilmember Monty?
Yes.
Councilmember Danienberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler?
Yes.
Okay, the item passes. There are no nays to announce. And now moving on to item 7L, Councilmember Monty.
Yes, I wanted to pull this item for discussion and really an understanding of what it is that we're doing with regard to the 2.5% fee. I understand this is a trend. I've read lots of articles about people putting on convenience fees, credit card processing fees, essentially to pass along the fees they're incurring to the end consumer, who I will say, in my lifetime, I mean, this is a really, really hard time for the consumer. And in government, there's a lot of opportunity, along with other large institutions, to pass along fees to the people. I'm concerned about this because effectively, it's a tax increase or a fee increase, because a lot of people do use credit cards for utility payments and things like that. It's part of their financial management. I understand the hard cost that the city incurs. However, About 20 years ago, I read a study about how much labor cost savings businesses were incurring on the positive side to push their consumers to automated transactions through credit card payments. And what I'm not seeing in this recommendation is an understanding of what the city's labor cost savings is on the positive side for automated processing of payments relative to the manual payments as was framed in this packet today about the manual burden on our small businesses. And I agree that it's a problem today, the paperwork that they're having to fill out, etc. But anytime you have manual processing in an end-to-end process on both sides like that, there's also financial benefits to the institution for automating that work. So I'm concerned about this. I think it should have been put on the regular agenda and not the consent agenda for discussion, because I feel it effectively is a tax increase. And I'd like to have more conversation about it and understand the labor cost savings associated with manual process versus automated process through credit cards before I would be able to positively support this. We shouldn't be charging the people and also benefiting from the labor cost savings as well.
City Manager, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would actually call up Finance Director Scott Rathman. As far as this being on the consent agenda, shared the initial information with council in the form of a city manager update 2 months ago, and then a follow-up city manager in preparation of this being an agenda item for tonight. Had no problems if there was going to be a request for additional conversation, so that's hearing none. That's exactly why it was on consent. Real quick, before I turn the floor over to Scott, this is a trend. It's something that's very common with peer municipalities. And actually, it can be viewed different ways, but the fees that we are paying by receiving credit card payments, that burden is being passed on to the entire community. Whereas what we are proposing and other communities do, it is narrowly focused to those that are using the credit card to make those municipal payments. Scott?
Thank you, City Manager. I think there is some confusion, and I'll take responsibility about the memo. It was challenging and try to incorporate the goal in the ordinance, but there is nothing in the ordinance that would allow us to pass on convenience fees related to residential utility payments. This was specifically generated related to us bring local business tax filings online. So those businesses filing food and beverage, local motor fuel tax, those kinds of taxes. To bring it online, we were going to have to offer an online payment option. The activity related to local business taxes is around $15 million a year. So granted, maybe not 100% of all businesses would pay via credit card, but if they were, at 2%, that's $300,000. So currently, we have a staff, one person really processes all the returns and deposits all the checks. So from a savings standpoint, the 300 grand versus one staff member, that math works. I agree with you, Councilmember Montney. From the utility standpoint, the labor savings that we are realizing from our online portal and allowing residents to pay via credit card, it far outweighs the costs that were substantiated. I highlighted the $600,000 just to show the materiality of the credit card fees. But what we're looking at here is really just to draw a line between commercial and residential. So we do have some large companies paying their utility bills via credit card, and those are coming through at the higher rate. There's statutory regulations related to utility payments that keeps the typical rate low. We're not looking at that right now, but this, I'm gonna be honest, this would allow us to maybe look at that in the future. But right now, this is just related to local tax, and that's why we specifically kind of outlined that in the ordinance. And we would only do this if there was a free online option as well related to payment, so that would be considered an e-check or a direct debit ACH. So we would not be allowed to charge a convenience fee or pass through a convenience fee on these filings if we did not provide that free option. So again, this is not approving us being able to pass on convenience fee to residential residents for utility payments. It's just basically to allow us to pass on convenience fee for local business transactions, those being food and beverage, local motor fuel tax, packaged liquor, that kind of thing, so we could bring that online. So that was really the focus of bringing this forward, is not to save on fees that we already are basically accommodating within our budget, but not to add on additional fees, but then also provide a mechanism for these businesses to pay online with a free option as well.
So today, these small businesses, a lot of them are small businesses. I know it's a small business that reached out to me at 2.5%, as you pointed out. You're talking about, $300,000 to $375,000 a year to these businesses in terms of fees. Are they able to pay today by credit card?
No, they're not.
So there's no credit card option for them today at all?
That's correct.
So your proposal is we're going to automate the process by providing them an electronic forms movement. And it's certain that there's going to be an EFT option that would be at no charge?
Yes, and if we can't come up with that, then we could not pass on the convenience fee according to the ordinance.
So would it be reasonable to research that component before we pass an ordinance authorizing ourselves to do that? Finding out what the EFT options are. I mean, a lot of payment processing right now, even in EFT, they're charging 1%.
The EFT, when we looked into those, when we were going live with the conversion for utility billing, was more on a per transaction basis, a fixed cost. I think the cost at that time was something like 25 cents per transaction. It was not percent-based transaction. And the city would absorb that cost.
So at present, we don't know whether or not we're going to be able to accommodate a no-fee EFT option for these small businesses.
We would, yes, I can confirm that the city would absorb that cost. So there would be no charge to the local business for using an EFT payment.
And it's been a few hours since I read the ordinance. The language in the ordinance itself includes the fact that there will be an electronic funds transfer mechanism that would be at no charge to these businesses.
It states that we will not be able to charge a convenience fee if there is not a free option available as well. So it's worded a little differently, but the end result is the same. If the city cannot provide a free option, an alternate free option online payment method, then we cannot pass on a convenience fee.
And back to the discussion earlier, you're saying that there is no intention and there's no provision that would be passing along credit card fees to residents who are paying their utilities through credit cards.
That's correct. The ordinance defines what commercial transaction stands for and what a local business tax transaction stands for. Under a local business tax, we do have some non-commercial entities, but we can't separate that, so we had to define local business tax as a category itself. But it would exclude all residential utility payments.
Okay, and the point of including the language about the utility payments was just for context in the write-up that we had in our packet. And again, we had, 239 pages this week, so I'm gonna pull that back up. But I read reference, we mentioned utilities in here. Maybe not in the ordinance, but perhaps that verbiage was just used for context.
Yes, the city currently absorbs all credit card processing fees related to this activity. Most of this activity is related to utility payments. So just trying to put into context, you know, what the city is currently doing, and then going forward with a local business tax option, online option, applying the convenience fee ability to that option, as long as there's also a free option provided online.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll move approval.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Ward, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hendricks, clerk.
Councilmember Kearns,
Yes.
Councilmember Motney,
Yes.
Councilmember Dannenberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks,
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler.
Yes.
Okay, the item passes, there are no nays to announce. Now we're gonna move on to the regular agenda with item 8A, consideration and action on an ordinance amending the budget ordinance for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2024, in the amount of $997,000 and $500. And then 2, consideration and action to approve an agreement with Clark Dietz for professional engineering services related to the Locust Colton combined sewer overflow elimination water main replacement project, Phase 8 and Phase 9, in the amount not to exceed $1,997,500 as requested by DOES, Department of Operations and Engineering Services. And I'm gonna turn it over to City Manager Gleason for some introductory remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, for all items A, B, C, and D, Deputy City Manager Jurgens is in charge of this department. I'm going to turn the floor over to him for opening comments before we turn it to DOES Director Kevin Covey.
Thank you, City Manager. I'll be brief just to say we're really excited about this presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Covey.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm going to give a brief presentation, overview of Locust Colton Phases 8 and 9 and how we got here, and just a little bit of information about the CSOs, because I know some of the members of the council are newer. So next slide, please. What is the combined sewer overflow? Next slide. So we have some real simple illustrations here that are animated to kind of explain, you know, starting out with separated sewer systems. These are in all the newer subdivisions. And go ahead and click and we'll see a little animation that shows the sewage flows from the homes down to the public sewer and then to the wastewater treatment plant. Click to the next, and then we'll see a storm come in, and the water goes up from the yards and the streets into the storm inlets and proceeds down to a lot of cases Sugar Creek or Little Kickapoo in Bloomington. This is a separated sewer system where the storm water does not mix with the sewage from the homes. Next slide, please. In this scenario, we have the combined sewer overflow system, which is what we're eliminating with the Locust and Colton CSOs that we currently have today. If you click, we'll see the animation of the sewage that comes from the home, goes into the sewer system, and then when we, if you click it again, we'll see the rains come and the water goes into the storm inlets again, but because it's only one pipe, it combines with the sewage, and if it overflows or overwhelms the system, it can overflow through Weir out to Sugar Creek, and that's the situation with Locust CSO and Colton CSO. Next slide, please. So in a combined sewer system, if there is no overflow, then what we'll have, go ahead and click it. You'll see the sewage coming from the home to the single pipe, and then you'll click it again. You'll see the storm come in, and all that water flows in and mixes with the sewage. And then the next animation, we'll go ahead and click it again. We'll see what happens when, next slide, when the storms come and overflows the system, what basically surcharges it, and then one more click, we'll see that the sewage can actually surcharge the pipes, in some cases come out inlets or manholes, in other cases actually back up into people's homes. So this gives you kind of a quick animated overview of combined sewers and the combined sewer overflows and why we are working, to eliminate them, because obviously we don't want sewage in our creeks, and we also don't want sewage in people's basements and that type of thing from storms. So next slide, please. So with the Locust Colton phases 8 and 9, we have new sanitary sewer, and we're going to separate the flows from the storm and the sanitary. We'll be installing new water mains, replacing some of the older mains which are near the end of their useful life. We'll also be doing some intermittent resurfacing with sidewalk and curb repairs as necessary around the utility trenches. Next slide, please. So with the benefits are that we end up at the end of phase 9, which phase 9 is the last phase. We'll end up closing Locust CSO and the Colton CSO, and that will eliminate the overflows into Sugar Creek. It will also separate the sewers, and thereby, when we have storms, the potential for sewer backups into residents' homes is reduced. And so very significant. Locust Colton phases 8 and 9 are the last 2 phases. And I'll go ahead and do the next slide. This is an overview map that shows the entire Locust Colton projects from phase 1 through phase 9. And you can see up in the upper left, near the high school, the athletic fields, that's where the Locust CSO and the Colton CSOs are. And so we started up there with the phase 1, and with 6 and 7, we were fortunate that we got, IEPA, SRF money with principal forgiveness of 25%. That's why we did a lot bigger project originally for that first phase. But we've worked our way upstream, and phase 8 is the green lines that are south of Oakland, kind of along Mercer and east of Mercer. And phase 9 is the purple area up by the athletic field. And so with the completion of those 2 phases, we'll be done with the Locust Colton project that, the original design study was from 2007. And this is the overview of the different phases, the construction costs, and the design costs. So very significant investment in the community, but it does a lot for this neighborhood and in serving the public goods. So that's kind of a quick overview of the whole system. We are building with phase 8 about 4,300 lineal feet of new sewer, about 3,400 feet of new water main. Phase 9 is about 4,300 lineal feet of new sewer and 2,100 feet of new water main in those phases. So, next slide, please. Schedule-wise, what we're looking at tonight is for approval of the design contract with Clark Dietz Engineers, and it would start with the design of phase 8 and phase 9 this fall. The goal to be able to bid the phase 8 construction and begin construction of phase 8 in 2025, with wrap up around 2026, and start construction for phase 9 in 2026 and wrap up in 2027. The city has a permit with the Illinois EPA National Pollution Discharge Elimination System to operate the CSO. Once we are able to confirm with the EPA that the project's been finished and the CSO has been closed, we will no longer need that annual permit that we have to get. And in that permit, with the long-term control plan, we said that we would get this all done by April 2030, and we're council directed based on some of the flooding we had in 2021 and so forth. So next slide, please. So a quick overview of the total cost tonight. We're looking at roughly $2 million for phase 8 and phase 9 design, about $8.75 million for phase 8 construction, $6.75 million for phase 9 construction, $17.5 million total. These are all the current estimates. And as part of the 8A item, we'll be approving the design contract. 8B is to give the city authority to apply for IEPA, State Revolving Fund loans from the public water supply and the water pollution control side that would help to fund the construction of these projects. So next slide, please. And we're very excited tonight because this is, like I said, the final 2 phases of the Locust Colton project, and so we can see the finish line is getting closer, and we're very excited tonight to bring this to you, and just look forward to the construction of 4 and 5 is ongoing right now. To get these last phases underway is very exciting. So thank you, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. I can't believe the end of the tunnel is near. So we are, for as long as I've been on the council, we've been talking about Locust Colton. So it definitely shows a great commitment by the various councils, but also my staff to see this project to its end. I know City Manager Gleason wanted to make some comments as well, and then I'll give also council members a chance to ask questions.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Director Cothe covered items 8A and 8B that will be up for consideration for council. But really, just to piggyback off of the comments that the mayor just did make, we're going to be identical to mine. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to drum up applause, for the community, for the council and past councils, and for what the staff have done. But this truly is a big deal. This is something that was already set in motion. Project phases were already either in design or construction or actually already completed prior to the storm event that we had in June of 2021. Quickly became a priority of council to consolidate phases 4 and 5, and then now 8 and 9. And we're going to shave 2 years off of what was the original target completion date. So truly a big deal. And then also of note, our lobbyist is still trying to secure funding that we feel confident, but it's not done yet, for a couple of $1 million that would be applied towards this project, and it would be a cost savings to the community. Appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you, Mayor.
Council members, questions? Okay, Councilmember Ward.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation, Mr. Cothe. Just a couple of questions. Just to reiterate, that this is required. We're required to do this, right?
We're required with our NPDES permit to control the Locust Colton, combined sewer overflows. So yes, we are required. We're not necessarily required to do it exactly in this way, but we have to eliminate them. And this is the best way to eliminate them is to separate those sewers. And that also has the benefit of helping our residents by, reducing that basement backup, because every storm, you talk to those folks that live in this area, and they always, if there's a heavy rain coming down, they always wonder, am I going to get, basement backup, right? So.
And I realize that there are lots and lots of combined sewers yet in the city, but this is the last of the combined sewer overflows that were mandated to resolve, right?
There is another combined sewer overflow. It's called the Maysfield, but that one hasn't been problematic. We've been monitoring it. We've done some with Maysfield. That's kind of south of Oakland, just north of Croxton, kind of east of 150. That neighborhood, we've been able to do some inlet separations and just kind of monitor it. So it's not as big of a deal as the Locust and Colton CSOs are. So.
And then one more question. I realize that you can't predict perfectly, but in conversations that we've had in the past, you've indicated that working on this project, Locust Colton, stuff flows downstream,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
So what do you foresee the impact being on the combined sewers on the west side if we work on this and dedicate these funds to this project?
Right. This definitely helps because everything flows in this neighborhood. Flows to the west side as noted. The Bloomington Normal Water Reclamation District operates the wastewater treatment plant in West Oakland. This flows there, as well as a lot of the other core part of the older part of the city flows to West Plant. So anything that we can do to help separate those flows out of the combined sewer system helps to relieve the opportunity for overflow of those pipes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to
I'll
approve? Okay, motion by Councilmember Ward, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Crumpler. And this is for item 8A, right? Are you gonna talk about 8B or?
If there's questions, I can answer them then.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's just do 8A for now, and then go ahead.
All right. Councilmember Kearns,
Yes.
Councilmember Motley,
Yes.
Councilmember Dannenberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The item passes. There are no nays to announce. Now we're going to move on to item 8B, and for which we've already seen a presentation, right? And so we'll just take questions if you have any. And this item is a consideration action on an ordinance authorizing the City of Bloomington to borrow funds from the Public Water Supply Loan Program in the amount of $7.4 million. And then 2, an ordinance authorizing the City of Bloomington to borrow funds from the Water Pollution Control Loan Program in the amount of $10.8 million. And then a third, a resolution authorizing a representative to sign loan documents for the Public Water Supply Loan Program for the Locust Colton Combined Sewer Separation Project, and 4, a resolution authorizing a representative to sign loan documents for the Water Pollution Control Loan Program for the Locust Colton Combined Sewer Separation Project as requested by DUS. And I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Jordan. Anything?
Sure, if there's any questions, if not, you've heard the presentation, but happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any
I'll move
questions?
approval.
Okay. A motion by Councilmember Ward,
Second.
second by Councilmember Hendricks. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Kearns,
Aye.
Councilmember Motley,
Yes.
Councilmember Dannenberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler.
Yes.
Okay, the item passes, there are no nays to announce, and now we're moving on to item 8C, consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a construction agreement with George Gilder for Phase 1 of the fiscal year 2024 sidewalk curb gutter replacement program in the amount of $2,383,347.05 as requested by DUS. And should I turn it over to the man of the hour? Kevin? Okay.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. The presentation is going to cover the next 2 items, 8C and 8D. And just wanted to take the opportunity to give you a quick update on our asphalt and concrete. So next slide, please. So just a quick update, fiscal year 23, the Phase 1 resurfacing was completed in September. There's some punch list work still going on, but and then Phase 2 of the resurfacing is going to start this week. Phases 1 and 2 of the sidewalk from FY23, Phase 1 was completed in August, and then Phase 2 in September. Of the FY24, which is the current budget year, we've got the Reclamite, which is a pavement preservation. That'll be starting next week in certain neighborhoods. And then the FY24 Pressure Pave. Pressure Pave is a new product for us in this community, and we were able to get that completed in August, and we'll see some pictures in just a minute. And then the chip seal, FY24 chip seal, was completed in September, and that's used on some of the more rural roads that are oil and chip, like 2100 East and so forth. So next slide, please. Brief update on sidewalks. We have work underway with the Community Development Block Grant sidewalk project. You see a picture there. We're doing extensive work in the 1000 block of West Market, including retaining wall, sidewalk, driveways, and ramp repairs, and also in the 800 to 1100 blocks of West Front Street. In addition, we'll be having an upcoming contract that's going to be valued at about $90,000 for continuation of West Front Street repairs, and we anticipate bidding that later this year with the construction starting in spring. Next slide, please. Here we see some pictures of some of the pavement preservation. On the left is the Reclamite. This is a product we have used for a number of years. That's what will be going down next week. And then in the middle, Pressure Pave, that's the newer product. This was done in Eagle Ridge in most of that subdivision. You can see in the picture, it looks a lot like brand new asphalt. And when it goes down, it kind of is kind of a chocolate color that dries out to the more black that you see in the picture there. We've had very positive comments from the folks in those neighborhoods. They think it looks really good and they're very satisfied with it. And then the chip seal is something that, like I said, we use on 2100 East and in Greenwood Avenue, or the pictures you see there. And that's just maintaining those roads as they are with oil and chip. Next slide, please. Some pictures from some of the sidewalk work that's been done along with our resurfacing program and then the community development block grant sidewalks. You can see pictures in various stages of construction and finished, and you know, the sidewalk work and resurfacing really spruces up the neighborhoods that we're in. So next slide, please. Here we see kind of a breakout pie chart of the different projects for FY24. And so you'll see that the green, the labels that are in green are the ones that have been awarded or are completed. And we've got quite a few that have been bid. And then the ones in yellow or gold, those are the ones under consideration tonight. So the phase 1 resurfacing and then the phase 1 sidewalk work. A huge chunk of that $10 million that is allocated for asphalt concrete. What's coming yet is the phase 2 sidewalk and the phase 2 resurfacing. We're working, staff is putting together the plans and specifications for that to be bid yet this year. So just wanted to see, for you to see what's underway, what is going to be approved tonight, and that how that splits out from the $10 million that we're allowed with the budget. Next slide, please. So this is a map showing the phase 1 work and in blue, and then the phase 2 work in green. One of the nice things is, if you remember from earlier this year, we had a presentation about FY24 and FY25. Because we've had some fairly favorable pricing, it looks like we'll be able to pull in a few streets from the FY25 program and add them into the FY24 program. We're still figuring out those details, so I can't share that with you, but it looks very favorable that we'll be able to do something like that. So next slide, please. This is a graph that we showed earlier this year, showing the historical costs or expenses for the resurfacing, and then also that's in the blue bars, and then the line graph is the lane miles that were resurfaced. And for the FY24, we just have phase 1 in there right now, so that's why it looks a little bit lower than last year's work. When we add into phase 2, they'll be very similar, but we don't know all those details yet because we're still working through that. But it gives you an idea of the historic, resurfacing that's dollars that have been spent, and also the lane miles that have been done. Next slide, please. This is a bar graph for the sidewalk, and very significant sidewalk work this year. The streets that we are resurfacing need a lot of help, In addition, as many of you know, there's a lot of concern about sidewalks in different neighborhoods, so we're making you know, a really good effort to get those taken care of. Next slide, please. This is the historic cost per square foot of sidewalk over the years. Because we're doing so much sidewalk, we got some favorable pricing this year compared to last year, and you can see that in the graph here. Next slide, please. So, just a reminder, we rate our pavements with the PASER rating scale from 1 to 10, 1 being failed and 10 being new. We're using software called from Infrastructure Solutions called DOT, Decision Optimization Technology, and we are in the process right now with our staff of getting the ratings updated for this year, so that we can you know, start the process of street selection earlier and get that to you earlier in the year is the goal. So tonight next slide, please. Tonight we have the two items as I mentioned. Item 8C is the sidewalk contract, and then item 8B is the resurfacing contract. The presentation is really covering both of them, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'm beginning to think that Kevin really likes the spotlight. Are there any questions? Councilmember Monty? Oh, okay, Councilmember Crumpler.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Kevin, for this presentation. Lots of really positive data. I just want to tell a quick story that illustrates what I think is the success in this community. I had someone call me about a month ago, and their street was going to be resurfaced in Ward 9, and this individual was really concerned because he thought that his street was going to get oil and chip all over it, and he was worried about oil on his vehicles and all sorts of other things that would concern anyone, in a situation like that. It turned out that was not the type of resurfacing. His street was resurfaced with the newer material that you talked about. Come to find out that he was very happy with it. Spoke with someone in your office who explained to him the difference between the two types of resurfacing. So I think there are examples of positive experiences in the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Monty?
So this year's proposal, how many lane miles are we going to get for the spend on the street resurfacing?
With the phase 2 will be very similar. The total will be very similar. We don't have the phase 2 streets all added up yet with the lane miles, but the phase 1 we're at 13.4 lane miles, and last year we were at 19.6. But when we add in the phase 2, we'll be very close to the 19.6. And then this doesn't take into account the pressure pave, which was just under $600,000, and there's a number of lane miles in that neighborhood that we did. Granted, it's not full-blown resurfacing, but it's a pavement preservation technique that has been used in some other communities in Central Illinois, and we're hoping that, if it works out for us, that we'll be able to leverage this going forward at a much reduced price compared to, mill and overlay. If we can make those pavements last longer, that's our goal.
So, couple things on that one. I think it's great that you included that sidewalk price per foot to show the trend line on that, so that we can do the math on our own to understand what we're getting for the money. I'd love to see that same number for the resurfacing, so that we can kind of get an idea of the cost per mile paved that we're looking at over these years. It's great to have the total spend and the miles, and we can, kind of calculate that out on our own, but I think it would really make it simpler if we could add that cost per mile paved out there too, similar to what you did with the sidewalks. So is this phase 1 and phase 2, is this new? Or I didn't find that on any of the charts from prior years that we had a phase 1 and a phase 2 on the resurfacing plans.
It is a little bit newer technique that we're trying. A lot of times with the phase 1, the bigger program or the whole program, we would negotiate with a certain contractor in Bloomington because there aren't any other bidders. And you'll see, we tested the water, so to speak. We bid the Phase 1 contract, only had one bidder. Phase 2 contract, last year we had 3 bidders. So we're learning and trying to adjust to the, central Illinois environment that we live in to be able to break off a smaller program that we can get multiple bidders, because we feel like, that's the best opportunity for the community is when you have multiple bidders to get the best price.
So is that Phase 2 contract then this year, since it was split out separate, is that the contract that Apple is handling?
From FY23, that's correct. And of course, we'll be bidding an FY24 contract, that will be Phase 2. And, like you said, last year, Apple got the Phase 2 for the FY23. And so, one of the things is the cost change so much year to year. We don't know, with petroleum products, there's the factors there with the aggregate they get. There's all these different factors that go into the price that we end up getting for our resurfacing. So by doing the Phase 1, Phase 2, we also are able to more tune in to, hey, how much budget do we have and how much street can we get done based on the cost that we just got for Phase 1. We can apply that to Phase 2 and, and like I said, potentially with that smaller grouping, get multiple bidders.
Have you considered putting the actual schedules for the work plans into the agreements, at least at a high level, so that the people in these neighborhoods that have been waiting can have a better idea of when things are going to happen? And I'm just going to put a backdrop on that. As you know, East Washington Street is a street that was on the project list for 2022. Then it was bumped to 2023. We communicated May of 2023 as the date to complete that work, and the resurfacing work hasn't yet commenced. I'm just, if we can put schedules out there and give people expectations as to when they'll be, seeing some movement, I think that would be helpful. And likewise, there happened to be a number of people out there on site on Saturday. I went and visited that neighborhood, talked to a lot of the people, and the contractor happened to be out there as well, and he was great to talk to. But when I talked to him privately, there's like a difference in the dates, of the expectations in the contract and the expectations maybe that we put up there. And anytime we can get clarity on that, and put this out into a schedule, just like we would see if somebody were, hiring a contractor themselves, they'd probably get a project plan that has dates on it, at least target dates. Is that something that there would be an appetite to do to help better communicate with the residents?
We try to work with the contractor and find out what those dates are and so forth. And for various reasons, it was, delayed from the May. I mean, that was what the contractor originally, talked to us about. So we do post on the Bloomington Streets website a list of all the streets and the anticipated time frames of when we expect to get there, with the resurfacing work.
Yeah, and in my case too, I'm not criticizing the city at all with this. I'm suggesting that maybe we could put these schedules in the contracts so that there could be kind of an understanding up front as to the sequence of events for these 2 phases. Because, when we have a contract that just simply says all work must be done by the end of November of 2023, that's one thing, and I get it that that's what a contractor would prefer, because that gives them the flexibility to fit in private jobs, other things along the way. But if we could move toward putting a project plan as a part of the bid process to get that out there and get some, clarity around that, I think it would reflect well on the city, because then we wouldn't be apologizing to the people, and it wouldn't look like the city missed expectations when it was really maybe, lack of clarity between what we think should happen and then what the contractor actually delivers.
Yeah, we can consider that. We're likely to get higher pricing that way, but it's something we can consider and talk to the contractors about if that would be an issue.
So on the pricing piece too, in these 2 different contracts that we're gonna be bidding on today. There's sidewalk pricing in one, but then there's also some sidewalk pricing in the resurfacing contract, which I'm assuming is typical.
It is, in an ideal world, we would probably just have it as all in one contract, but the reality is that when all that's in one contract, then that one contractor, you know, has a limited workforce or whatever, it tends to take a lot longer, and it'll also cost more, because when we compare the pricing between our resurfacing contract and the sidewalk contract is always much more affordable for the sidewalk work than the resurfacing contract. But sometimes the logistics, just in the situation, may require to really do the sidewalk work with the resurfacing contract, just because the logistics of trying to coordinate everything.
Yeah, you're right, I noticed that. I mean, the upcharge on the second contract for sidewalks, I want to say it was like, 30-40% higher for the sidewalk work. So, all right, thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Are there other questions?
I'd like to move approval.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Ward. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Mondi. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Kearns? Aye. Councilmember Money?
Yes.
Councilmember Dannenberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Aye.
Councilmember Ward? Aye. Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler?
Yes.
Okay, and then item 8D is consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a construction agreement with Road Construction for Phase 1 of the fiscal year 2024 general resurfacing program in the amount of $4 million and $4,039,820.24 as requested by DUS. Anybody has any questions for the man of the hour, Mr. Kufi? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, you guys are getting me all mixed up here. Okay. Do you have it? Okay.
Councilmember Kearns? Aye. Councilmember Money?
Yes.
Councilmember Dannenberger?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Aye.
Councilmember Ward?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. The item passes on no nays to announce, and now we're going to move on to city manager's discussion.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a couple of slides, then some additional comments. Bob's Bay Books, along with Red Raccoon, are hosting a author convention. That's this coming Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and I think it will be hosted at Red Raccoon Games downtown. Downtown Bloomington Trick or Treat, already getting this on everybody's radar. It is October 27th, 5 to 8 p.m. And just an additional note about that, former council member Scott Black, his wife, made us aware to just be considerate of food allergies for some of the kids that are trick-or-treating. And that's something that Melissa Hahn's team had already set in motion for our stand, but we're starting to share that on social media with the downtown merchants to also take that into consideration. So appreciate that ask of Scott and Hollis. Next slide, please. Out at the market, this is a spooky scavenger hunt and Halloween coloring contest. And I believe this is going to be the farmer's market time frame, 7:30 in the morning until noon downtown. And then also putting this on everybody's radar, the Thanksgiving farmer's market that will be held in the Grosinger Motor Arena is November 18th, 9 a.m. to noon. And again, that's a week in advance of Thanksgiving. Next slide. This one, actually, I'm going to give the floor to Deputy City Manager Tyus for a bit because he's been running point on this, but this one's a biggie. And we're pushing this on social media. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. but this is tied to the downtown streetscape. So now for several months, the stakeholders, some of the internal team, not internal to the organization, but internal to the community as a whole, have done a fair amount of work with the consultant that's been hired, city staff, again, deputy city manager being the one that runs point on this. But now we're ready to turn this and be more forward-facing into the community. And this Downtown for Everyone is a open house, and it's going to be here at the BCPA Wednesday the 11th, and it is 4 to 7. There's a website that we're standing up that is a part of this slide, and truly ask that the community come out, give us your thoughts about the downtown streetscape. We're excited to share the work that's been completed. Again, work that has no definition to it, no final decisions have been made. This is exploratory, and now it becomes a community conversation. Billy, any additional comments?
Ditto. No, I'm kidding. Really, we're excited to be at this point, frankly, with this project. We appreciate, we hope, the community and the council's patience to get us to this point. There's been a lot of behind-the-scenes work that has had to happen that we didn't necessarily anticipate. But now we're at a point where we're going to the public more so to ask about their thoughts and ideas about conceptually what type of design do you want to see. And are you open to perhaps relocating parking, not necessarily eliminating, but relocating those kinds of questions. So once we start to gather that input, then we can start to narrow this project from concept to actual design. And then we would come back to you as a council with a plan for your consideration. Again, it's an exciting project, but I think we've said several times it's a generational project, and we're excited about the possibility of it. Again, Wednesday, with the website as well, for folks who can't come to the meeting, there will be opportunities to provide input on those areas as well. So, and there will also be opportunities as we go forward. We're going to go to where people are. We're going to go to their meeting spaces. We're going to make the public meeting circuit to also talk to people as well, just so we can make sure that we're hitting as many areas of the community as we can. And so, again, we're excited about it.
Thank you. Nicely done. And the Downtown for Everyone .com website, that's also pretty impressive as well. Next slide, please. Entertainment for everyone. Again, at the Grossinger Motors Arena, quite a few events that are coming up. I'm going to highlight a couple. Mercy Me Christian group that will be playing here on Friday, this coming Friday, October 13th. We believe this could be a sellout, and we're very excited about that. Cody Jinks, the one that you see at least to my far right on the slide that I'm looking at, pre-sale was very good for this upcoming concert as well. Then obviously the home of ISU hockey, very excited about the things that are truly starting to happen in the arena. Next slide, and I believe that could be it. And then I had a couple of additional comments. Free bulk pickup, we're pushing as much on social media as we possibly can about where we're at in the process. Mose Ricky is the Public Works Director. He and his team are doing a great job. We are on pace, communicating that daily, and they're doing very well this year. And then another comment that I was going to make is that we have a return to the council chambers. So next week, the Committee of the Whole will be held back at the council chambers. So this is the last night in the BCPA for one of our council meetings. And I believe that is it, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And I want to reiterate about the Downtown for Everyone. I encourage everyone to attend. I've shared the website on social media and the story about it, and there is palpable excitement about it to have an opportunity to further transform our community. So definitely look forward to it. And I'm going to turn over to council members for comments. Councilman Ward.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Actually, I have a couple of comments. One is I am so excited excited for the consent agenda item that we didn't pull off the consent agenda, but the item that was the roster for the Special Commission for Safe Communities. And I didn't want this meeting to end without acknowledging that and acknowledging the people, the 7 people who are the first members of that commission. You'll recall the Special Commission for Safe Communities is charged with looking into the issue of gun violence in our community and coming up with causes, coming up with proposals for solutions, identifying trends, and figuring out how to address those. And so congratulations to the 7 people. 7 of 9 positions are filled. I understand that there still are 2 positions open and that you are still accepting and considering applications, right, Mayor, for that. So if people have an interest in that and expertise, they can apply just like any other position for a commission or a board. And then the other thing that I wanted to highlight is that tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. At the synagogue on Robin Hood Lane, which is right near Community Players Theater by the old post office, there will be a presentation called The State of Hate by the Anti-Defamation League, which will be looking at FBI hate crime statistics, ADL reports on anti-Semitism, and how the community can respond. You may or may not know that the founder of the Anti-Defamation League was Bloomington's own Sigmund Livingston in 1913. So that organization has been around for a very long time and does a lot of very illuminating work. So come over to the synagogue at 7 p.m. tomorrow. That's being sponsored by a number of organizations, including Not in Our Town and the Bloomington Police Department. Thanks.
Thank you. Other comments? Oh, Councilmember Cumberland.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I want to recognize the work of the Parks Department, especially Eric Beal and David Lamb and their staff to procure ADA compliant playground equipment for both Bittner and Fell Parks. I think this positions our city as a model for working toward providing access to our park system for all families and their children. Additionally, new lighting has been installed in Clearwater Park as requested by the residents of the neighborhood for increased safety. And new trees will be planted near the playground at Eagleview Park as requested by the neighbors in that area. And I think these are great examples of the Parks Department's responsiveness to our communities, and I want to compliment them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing none, I'm not making eye contact.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Sure.
Okay, all right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 Okay, we're adjourned. See you next time.